Hello, BirthFit Community. It is Lindsay Matthews Cantu, or Dr. Lindsay Matthews Cantu, as the kids call me in the office, Dr. Winsy. Anyways, I am here. I am your BirthFit founder and CEO. And more importantly, in this moment, I am your BirthFit podcast host. And yes, we have special guests all the time. This week, we have Taylor Galadyk on the episode, and she is a life coach for women in leadership, especially in male-dominated fields. And we will definitely get into that because I'm so eager to talk with Taylor, as she has been a friend of mine. I've known her for quite some time, and I've been, just a little fly on the wall of life, observing her and watching her go through her metamorphosis. And I've really enjoyed it and in awe of her. So before we dive in and before I send her over the link to jump in here, we've got a few announcements. Yes, a few announcements. This coming Tuesday, if you are a chiropractor, if you are a student chiropractor, if you are somebody thinking about becoming a chiropractor, we are doing a joint webinar. BirthFit is doing a joint webinar with the Pediatric Experience. It is completely free. All you got to do is sign up. So go to our website, visit the links in our stories on our Instagram profile, whatever you got to do, sign up. If you have no idea where to start, just email info@birthfit.com. Make sure you're on our newsletter list, as this is where announcements and discounts get announced first. So be sure you are on our newsletter list. Another thing, B Community. This is our monthly membership option. And for those of you new here, this is a general strength and conditioning program, so fitness, but we also have connection and education. We have a once a month support session where you can come and go as you please. It's like office hours. But this is where we answer questions from the audience that were submitted, or you can show up and we will go through your live case study, anything that's going on with you. As I always say in those support sessions, the priority will be on those that are attending that virtual call live. So then we will get to the questions that were submitted. But anyways, that's a support session that we have once a month. We also have 1 or 2 guest speakers a month. And this past month, we had Alexis Rosenbaum. She's an entrepreneur. She is a mother and just an all-around total badass. She shared her journey with IVF, owning a business, and being married to her high school sweetheart. So if you have not checked out B Community, do so. I guarantee that talk is worth the cost of the monthly membership, just right there. On August 30th, which I believe is a Tuesday, let me double check. Yep, Tuesday at noon. So 1 week after our Pediatric Experience webinar, we have a B Community virtual gathering featuring Kaylee McDevitt. And Kaylee McDevitt is probably one of the smartest brains I know when it comes to metabolism and thyroid and hormone health. I have worked with her personally, and it was awesome. So much so that I enrolled myself in her Leveraging Labs class. And this is where we are learning all about reading blood chemistry, Dutch tests, HTMAs, any kind of lab analysis you can think of through a more functional lens and a tighter range, mainly because I want to help you women. And I want to help you women conceive. I want to help you women heal. And I've certainly loved all the preconception women that have come through the doors at my local office at Willow House, and all the virtual consults I've been doing. In 2023, I am definitely thinking about doing a more intimate group setting for preconception prep. um, sort of along the same lines of group prenatals, but it would be group preconception prep. So just putting that little bug out there, but yeah, we would get into some lab work, lifestyle practices, things like that. So if you're interested, stay on the newsletter because that's where we're going to announce it first before anything else. Yeah, B community, I would get in if you're thinking about trying it at all, do it because the price is going to go up in January. Right now it's only $24.99 a month. As always, we have our signature courses. All of our prenatal programs, all of our postpartum programs are on our website, and those continue to be our best sellers. The best sellers are the prenatal training program, which is the full term prenatal training program, general strength and conditioning for pregnancy. And then we have our postpartum package, which includes the Line-In program, the BirthFit Basics postpartum program, and the postpartum training program. The postpartum package, I think, is the best thing out there because it literally takes you from day one post-birth, whether it be vaginal or cesarean, all the way through 5 months. And this lays the foundation through breath and rehab and finally getting back into general strength and conditioning with a very intentional and kind of like brilliant freaking programming, obviously. But I would not step foot into a CrossFit gym. I would not step foot into Orange Theory. I would not step foot into a power yoga class. I would not go out for a chill run or any of that without laying the foundation first. And I say this with as much as I know, there's no shortcutting it. I've seen women try to shortcut it and doesn't work out. So check those programs out. Our prenatal training program and our postpartum package continue to be our best sellers and honestly the best bang for your buck. So be sure to get on them. Yeah, so big announcements. Kaylee McDevitt, August 30th. Next Tuesday, Pediatric Experience. That's August 23rd. And then September, all of our social media, including a free webinar that if you're curious about, you can sign up. Just be on the lookout. Will be all about the nervous system and the nervous system role in the motherhood transition and more specifically birth. So there's lots going on. Reminder, and I would strongly encourage you to think about this, but reminder, we at BirthFit take 2 weeks off in December and go completely tech-free. Yes, tech-free. That means we step away from these social media gods that suck the life out of us sometimes. We step away from the emails, and I would encourage you to do so. Our goal is to connect locally, connect with our families, and really be intentional with that time, especially around the holidays. So, yeah, something to think about. Join us. We're always pushing for people to join us because sometimes it's easier to have a group to do it with as well. Yeah, so that's what we got going on. We'll have a big sale on all of our programs in November. You know, the whole Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday deal. That's a real thing. We celebrate. Do I say it? We celebrate? We do around here. So be mindful if you're saving up or concerned that setting aside money for one of the programs, we will have discounts right around that time. And I'm thinking about doing another big sale on the BirthFit education sometime in September, I think. We'll see if I get a lot of requests. Last announcement I will make. We are putting our BirthFit coach course online. We've got lots of requests from people from Australia, from the UK, from all over that have had difficulty traveling here to make the seminar. And yes, I truly believe in-person experiences are, the cream of the crop. However, it is time we put this online so that we can reach more of you and, really support the requests that you are giving us. So our goal is to get that online by the end of this year. We are working diligently on that. Still, if you want to be a BirthFit coach, the first thing you have to do is the BirthFit Education Foundations course. And that is an online course, 12 modules. Takes some people 2 months, takes some people 3 months, takes some people 6 months. Totally your call, your pace. You do it at your pace. But that is the foundations, literally, of BirthFit, our BirthFit philosophy and methodologies. And in the BirthFit Coach course that will be online, formerly was the BirthFit Coach seminar, we build so much upon this stuff. So having that base layer of education is so, 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 so important. And I need you to come into the BirthFit Coach course with knowing the BirthFit basics, with knowing the BirthFit values, knowing our philosophy and methodology. And then we can grow in programming. Then we can grow in cueing. Then we can grow in communication and talking to women and really getting specific with the chapter that they are at in their life. We can grow in breath and core stability, but we got to have the foundations first. So sign up for that, take that, then do the BirthFit Coach course. All right, my friends, we are waiting on Miss Taylor. So let me see if she needs anything. As always, if you would like a guest on this podcast, if you think you know the perfect guest, by all means, tell me. Submit them to info@birthfit.com. I mean, that's how we got a ton of people coming up. So, yeah, let me tell her. All right. I hope you are all doing well. I feel like the energy in the world has just been crazy busy. Um, I don't know if that's y'all, and I know nobody can respond to me right now, but I feel like it's been like vroom, 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 vroom. And I've had to remind myself to take so many extra breaks, um, and just really be mindful of the sleep I'm getting, the energy I'm putting out there. Um, Crazy world. Crazy world we're living in right now. We'll give Taylor a minute. I'm going to mute myself for a second so I can gulp some water. Y'all, while we're waiting on Taylor, I wanted to let you know that all of August on social media has been about breastfeeding awareness. And we made a post over on BirthFit today, and it's just a little graphic post with some wording, and I want to read it to you. It says, "Did you know in the US, the FDA designates infant formula as food rather than drug, even though majority of formula is made by pharmaceutical companies?" So just think about that for a second. Formula is designated as a food rather than a drug, yet it's made in labs by the pharmaceutical companies. So per the book, The Big Letdown, which is great. If you have not read it, and I'm triggering you in all sorts of ways right now, go read it. Trust me on this one. It's called The Big Letdown: How Medicine, Big Business, and Feminism Undermine Breastfeeding. I have the book holding up my computer right now. That's why I dipped my head. Anyways, per The Big Letdown, this designation happened in 1992. This means any ingredient added to food, and I say that in quotations, must only be, quotations, generally recognized as safe, close quotations, for intended use. However, if it were designated as a drug, then it would have to be tested for its safety and effectiveness. So let me repeat. The designation of food makes it okay that it's generally safe. If it was designated as a drug, then it would have to go through more extensive tests to prove its safety and effectiveness. So as a food, it only has to provide reasonable certainty, attested by competent scientists that the product is safe, in quotations, before it is sold to the public. And yes, those scientists can be selected by the manufacturer. Are you frustrated? Thoughts? Pissed? Mad about it? Questions? Go read that book. Do something about it. Anywho, let me check in on Taylor, see where she...
Oh, can you see me?
Hey, Taylor.
Hey, babe.
I can totally see you.
Good.
How are you? And I can
Good.
hear you.
Perfect.
Welcome. We're rolling already.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I've just got Henny here. She's
Aw.
she's almost 6 months, and she's just going through a little something. She's a little snotty, a little sick. I don't know if she's sick or if she's just, I don't know, developing.
Yeah, just needs her mom, huh?
Yeah. Say hi. And then Hawk is having quiet time, and I'm just still sweaty from this morning's workout. So I'm doing well. I'm excited
Awesome.
to connect though. I'm excited for
Yeah, heck
this.
yeah. How's the weather? Oh, there you go.
The weather's amazing in California. Every
I'm
day is
sure.
70 and sunny and perfect, and you can go outside every single day, which we take advantage of.
Yeah, and it's like perfect summer weather there right now.
It really is. It really is. We're enjoying it.
Aw, well, cool.
Better, sis?
Well, let's dive in, and I introduced you a little bit, but I want you to introduce yourself and who you are and,
Sure.
how you show up in this world to the BirthFit audience.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Taylor Galadyk. My maiden name was Drescher. So originally linked up with Lindsay through the fitness world in CrossFit. and our paths have aligned for just the past few years, really loving following the BirthFit movement, and then becoming a mother of my own 3 years ago, and now mom of 2, and also a Marine veteran. So that's a little bit about some of the things that I do. Right now, I'm really just momming it up. My
In a
husband's still
nutshell.
yeah, my husband's still active duty, so I am really creating a lot of space to just be more present and connecting with my kids and my husband while he's home. And so I'm not really working that much. I'm a life coach,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm working with a small handful of women clients, and just enjoying California.
Cool.
And yeah, enjoying my postpartum. We're still 6 months postpartum, so I'm still very much healing.
Yeah. That's
So yeah,
awesome. Okay.
that's me. And then so yeah, just today though, I mean, I do a lot of things, but today I just want to be Taylor today. I want to answer your questions truthfully, and I want the people who listen to this to just feel like they're not alone in the trenches of
Mm-hmm.
motherhood, and especially for those of women who follow you that are high performers or have transitioned from high performing to motherhood, or maybe they're managing work and stuff. I mean, it's just a lot. So I want the women who listen today to feel not alone and
Yeah.
encouraged from some of the parts of my story, hopefully.
Yeah. And I mean, I know they will. I'm sure they will. So yeah, let's back it up. I literally, before you got on, I was thinking, I was like, what was her maiden name? I know it started with a D.
It's not important anymore.
It's kind of melted right off of you. Um,
Yes, it has.
oh, so prior to having children, how would you say you identified yourself as? Because that was your life as well, you were even a cheerleader before that, a cheerleader, then a Marine. So yeah, can you let us in on a little bit of those chapters?
Absolutely. I have always been the overachiever. That's how I've, since childhood, really earned affection, love, a sense of belonging. And so I perform really well and thrive in chaotic environments and really challenging, uncertain environments. So I loved CrossFit. I loved cheerleading. I loved competing. I really identified as self was really closely tied to any role or title that I was at the time. And maybe athletes can relate to that, where a lot of your self worth comes from your performances and accomplishments or things that you achieve. And therefore, when you make mistakes, it's really hard to move past that. So I've always been also really, really self-critical person, where self-criticism in terms of self-talk in my head really served me as a high performer, but it does not serve me well in motherhood. So it's been just an evolution of going from feeding my personality that loves challenges, but not feeding maybe that part of me that was just trying to survive and compete all the time. So now I just
Mhm.
have to discern between when to compete and when to
When
just,
to turn it off.
be human.
Yeah.
Yeah, when to turn it off. So
So, did you grow up competitive, like grade school, high school, or did you
not
step into that more in college?
not really. I kind of stepped into it in, well, I guess cheerleading started in middle school and a little bit, throughout high school.
Mhm.
In terms of elementary and grade in school before that, not really. I swam when I was younger. I
Mm.
was on swim team. I loved that. I love the water now. I love the ocean now. But
Oh, that makes
I
sense.
wish I would have swam or ran or did cross country or track or
Yeah,
something, but no. Just cheerleading and gymnastics in middle school and high school.
just cheerleading and gymnastics. So, I don't for
Yeah.
those listening, Taylor was on national champion squad, Louisville, and
Mhm.
so I remember when I first heard this and somebody mentioned this about you and I was like, "Do y'all know how like that's a huge deal?" Because as somebody that grew up in Texas as a cheerleader and our team was competitive, I was like, "That is a huge freaking deal to be on that squad. Like she must eat, sleep, and breathe cheerleading." Um,
Pretty much.
So
Legendary school.
yeah, and so that's what like being in a competitive mindset, you had to stepping on the freaking performance floor for cheerleading there, you had to be competitive.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so for those just having no idea what that means, what would a day in the life of a Louisville cheerleader look like?
That's such a good question. In the day of my Louisville cheerleader life, old Tay, I, first of all,
Old
was such a
Tay.
partier in college. I went out every single night. So a day in the life of me was wake up hungover from the night before,
What time would
go
you
to
wake
my,
up?
I mean, let's say maybe 9 o'clock, 10
Okay.
o'clock. I could sleep in back then.
Mm.
Wake up, have some breakfast at my apartment, hungover, maybe exercise or something, go to late classes throughout the day. When I found CrossFit, I would leave school and then I would go to CrossFit and work out. And then I started interning, coach CrossFit. And then practice for Louisville wasn't until 9 o'clock at night or
What?
8 o'clock at night because we practiced off campus because we didn't have a facility on campus. It was crazy. So
Oh,
we practiced at gym time in Louisville, Kentucky. So practices would run, I don't know, 9 to 11 or something every night, or maybe
whoa.
it was earlier, maybe it was 8 to 10. It was late. It was night practices though.
Yeah.
So that's what it would look like. And then I'd shower or change in the car. My best friend and I would like
Go
go
out.
out and do it
Oh.
again. We were crazy.
Dang. That is insane. So you
It was
found
crazy.
CrossFit in college.
Sophomore year of college, 19.
Okay, and then when did you start competing or getting the itch to
Yeah.
compete as a CrossFitter?
I got the itch to compete about a year in. And then I was at regionals by the time I was a senior. By the time I graduated college, I actually did not walk at college graduation so that I could compete at regionals instead.
What?
Yeah. I was like,
What
I
year?
have something more important.
What year was that? Do you remember?
Gosh, what year? 08? No, that was when I graduated. 12.
2012.
2012. Yeah, I graduated
Okay.
high school in 2008 and I graduated college in 2012.
Okay. Okay. And then how long was your CrossFit chapter? Do
Gosh,
you remember?
CrossFit about five years because I retired in 2017.
Wow. Oh. So what would a
Yeah,
day in the life of training for CrossFit look like for you?
that would look different. I trained a whole year before the Marine Corps where I was just training and coaching, but when I was on
Hmm.
active duty, it looked like 2 a days. I'd train in the morning before work by myself or with my Marines, go to work, train during lunch, then I'd just eat chow during lunch or later during the day that I'd made. And then sometimes do like whatever afterwards, you know, go to the physical therapist, get
Yeah.
acupuncture, body
Yeah.
work, stuff like that. Prepare meals usually, shower, do
Dang.
work, do it again. It depended, and when I was in the Marine Corps, it changed a lot because I'd be in the field sometimes or
Yeah.
not. So, but I trained pretty much nonstop. And if I wasn't training, I was preparing to train or thinking about training or recovering my body to train better the next day.
Yeah.
It
So when
all.
did the Marines fit in? Right after college or
So I went
one
to
year?
officer candidate school in the summers in college. And then I commissioned after I graduated from college in 2012.
Dang.
So I was in the Marine Corps from 2012 to 2017. So
What?
Marine Corps and CrossFit
CrossFit.
careers were kind of simultaneous, which is kind of crazy because everyone's like, how are you a Marine and a CrossFit athlete?
Yeah.
That's insane. I was like, y'all, I was just literally so surviving from I mean, lots of things. Like
Yeah.
it was just feeding all of my tendencies and patterns and habits and things that had kept me alive for so long. And I was getting rewarded for it. I
Yeah.
was getting rewarded through my performances. And it was just, I don't know how I was doing it, but I was. That was all I did though.
Yeah. It was
Relationships with family during that time weren't at their best. And
I'm sure.
so relationships with friends too. I mean, I had friends through CrossFit, but
Yeah.
it was just a very different time in my life.
Okay, okay. Was anybody in your family a Marine that like influenced you to become a Marine?
Yes, grandfather
Oh.
and father.
Wow.
Yes.
So did you know from a young age you wanted to be a Marine, or what
I
made
did.
that
I
choice?
did, and I didn't tell my dad until I was older because I just thought, I'll marry
Mm.
a Marine. Isn't that horrible? I still married a Marine, but I also joined. I don't know. I used to kind of just dream about it, daydream about it. I think that's another tendency or habit of mine is I obsess about the future. I like am a visionary. I have to like discern between how much of this is being the visionary and how much of it is just over planning and obsessing
Yeah.
that next step instead of creating space for what is going to happen in that next step. So I always was just like really thinking about the next thing. So I did think about the military, but I didn't think that I would do it. And it was hard. It was a very challenging path for me. I had to take the written test about 3 times to get the high enough score to become an officer. And,
Oh.
it was really tough. So I think I wanted it. I saw it as, it was modeled to me through the men in my life that were powerful and strong and heroic. And
Mm-hmm.
as far as the women in my life, I didn't have anything in the family that immediately drew me to
Mm-hmm.
something that I felt passionate and aligned with. So yeah, the military was it, and it was the Marine Corps or nothing else.
Well, I married a Marine too.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean,
That's funny.
they're good. Like they're good.
They're special
I don't know.
people.
They're special people. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some of the biggest lessons? Like if you had to pick 3, what do you think the biggest lessons that your CrossFit Marine chapter taught you?
Goodness. I mean, attitude has been a
Mm.
huge lesson for me throughout everything, and that carries over to even where I am now. Just moving through adversity, moving through unforeseen challenges with a strong positive mental attitude. You can have your feelings and validate your feelings and all of that, but just I think the ability to move through adversity and persevere no matter what. I mean, grit. It's attitude and grit are kind of
Grit.
two lessons that I take from the Marine Corps and my CrossFit experiences. And I mean, just that you can, I don't know, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Mm.
And I mean, the unconventional path in terms of like being a woman in the Marine Corps, where that's the minority, and then
Yeah.
CrossFit, like people make fun of CrossFit saying it's not a sport. And it's just like, these are really hard, challenging paths that I took despite my body type. I'm 5'10", on average 175 at my lightest.
Yeah, you're
Like
super
CrossFit
tall.
wasn't really for me, but I
Yeah.
just had a heart for it. And if something lights up your heart, I just think you should go for it, and that you shouldn't let limiting beliefs or obstacles get in the way. If you have a heart,
That's cool.
a heart posture for that thing. And I had a calling and a love affair with the Marine Corps and CrossFit, and they called to me, and they were really challenging. But
Mm.
yeah, so what did we say? The first one, grit,
Mhm.
attitude, grit, and
Embracing the
that last
challenge.
point. Yeah,
Mm.
just go for it. Go for it if you have a heart for it.
Yeah, do you feel like maybe, and this is like going off on a tangent, but a lot of our society or population maybe has never really embraced adversity or challenge, or that's when people ask me what's wrong with society today, I'm like, oh my God, that's a loaded question. But I
Right.
often see, like, especially some of the young folks, maybe never endured some sort of obstacle or adversity, and our society has gotten soft, and now we're just having problems to have problems because we're bored. It's like, what? But yeah, do you have any thoughts around that, or
Gosh, I mean, this is a really complex and dynamic question as
yeah,
well. And of course, as a mom of two, raising and developing
yeah.
two young human beings, you of course you go deep with this stuff. You have yourself as the student, and you're learning. You have your teachers on this earth, and your experience and your walk and all of that. Um, But I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that question. Maybe you could pick like, I don't know what you really want me to hit on with that because that's so dynamic. Like,
It
be
is,
more
yeah.
specific with that one.
Well, there's also, do you ever listen to Jordan Peterson and some of his talks and great books? But
I don't.
he's okay, for anybody listening, his book 12 Rules for Life is like
Okay.
phenomenal. And I'm gonna butcher this quote, but he's basically says something about you know, allow your children to explore, embrace curiosity, and almost like gosh, let me see if I can pull it up because I'm gonna butcher it. Jordan Peterson, child development. Let me see. Quote. Um, children must be shaped.
I
No,
feel
that's
like
not it.
I feel like a lot of well, I think I'm thinking about your question a little bit more. I mean, as you're looking for the quote, I don't know if people are soft or if we do face adversity, but we aren't always equipped or given the right tools to navigate the adversity. So sometimes it might be easier to just, not face the adversity because
Yeah.
if you're also not taught how to recover from failure, you're not taught how to bounce back from something or modeled it, when you fail or you make a mistake or you are hurt and it feels so painful. I don't know. Maybe it's just that I don't know that now that I'm a parent and I know all that goes into parenting, I look at society and I'm like, okay, well, what happened in your childhood? What
Yeah,
happened in
yeah.
everyone's childhood? So is it less about, I mean, are they not facing adversity or are they facing a lot of adversity? And are we facing so many things coming from us? This generation, I mean, just the pace of life,
It's so
social
fast.
media, like people are doing so much. It's overwhelming. So I think human beings at the core level are extremely resilient. Like we are
Oh,
resilient
for
people.
sure. Yeah.
So yeah, within our culture, I don't know. I don't know what we're seeing because I'm like post COVID, just kind of still in my own bubble. I mean, intermingling with my own family and friends, but I'm not being exposed to like the teens and the people really of this generation. Even like I was when I was in CrossFit, I was seeing a lot more of it. So it's hard for me to really answer that question, but
Yeah.
tell me what the quote is if you found it from
Bang.
Jordan.
No, I'm butchering it. And watch, my husband's gonna come home and he's gonna be like, "Oh, it's this." I'm like, "Oh my God, why didn't I think of that?" Um, but basically, it was along the lines of like, letting your kids explore and live, but like fail dangerously or fail
Right.
courageously.
Okay.
So I'll
So
find
it's
it.
along the lines of essentially what
Yeah,
I was kind of just talking
yeah,
about too, is like, yeah, letting people fail and learn how to recover from failure.
totally.
And Brene Brown talks about this a lot. And so when, I hear you say soft, I'm
Yeah.
tied to, vulnerability and courage and how you can't
Mhm.
have one without the other. And
Mhm.
it's just more about how people put on armor. And you
Mm.
asked about the old me, the old Tay. The old Tay was just walking around in like 100 pounds of armor, carrying like 1,000 pounds of resentment because I wasn't really being my authentic self. I had this
Mm.
perfectionism and this like numbing through work and not allowing myself any joy through constantly training and disciplining myself. That was the
Mm.
armor I was putting on to portray an external version of me to society that felt safe and accepted and
Mhm.
valued and worthy.
Value.
And now to strip that stuff away and be a little more softer because in motherhood you have to be a little softer.
Little for sure, for sure.
But I think that we just see a lot of armoring up and it's just like normal tendencies of people just trying to get by and
Sur
be,
survive.
yeah, survive with the tools they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And it's just really about, I mean, the people in my circle, like people like you, Lindsay, and I'm sorry, like Emily, Embo, and Alexis and Hannah, just my circle of women and the true people in my circle have also been such a huge help for me in this whole process of motherhood to help me take off that armor. So I think when you see other people in your life kind of coming into their true selves or walking in their true self, like you have walked such a true path, I feel that I
Well,
feel
thank
very
you.
connected to that. So
Mm,
we just need more people to brave life without the armor to
yeah.
show other people that they can too, I
Yeah.
feel.
I did, yeah, and I think, Brené Brown does say something about soft front, strong back, which,
Love that quote.
made so much sense to me.
Yes.
Um, but yeah. Okay, so Marines, CrossFit. All right, big lessons. And, so then how the heck did you meet your husband, and when did you meet him, and when did y'all get married?
Yeah, Matt and I met at the basic school in 2013 at
What?
a bar named the Hawk, which is why Hawk is
Ah,
named Hawk. So we met there, we dated on and off and all of that, and then got engaged at the CrossFit Games, and then
aw,
in 2016, and then married in 2017. And we'll be celebrating our 5-year wedding anniversary this Labor Day weekend in
that's
September.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So we met in the Marine Corps and we're very compatible. He's very masculine and feminine energies combined into one, as am I. So it's great.
Yeah.
He's the best. He's the best.
So you mentioned, especially on social media, that he's still active duty, gets deployed, or how the heck do you deal with that as a mom?
Man, talk about emotional maturity and having to learn how to just regulate your own emotions, especially when you have kids. You can't just pout all the time
Yeah.
and be angry all the time. I mean, you can, but it's not fun for anybody. So, I guess the biggest thing is learning how to regulate our emotions and communicate big emotions and ask for what we need, because a lot of times, I do have a lot of anger and resentment towards the military or
Mhm.
towards situations where I feel like he might not be getting taken care of, or or he just pours his heart and soul into the military. And sometimes I want him to just experience more family and downtime and joy, and it's hard to balance the two. So we have a lot of hard communication, hard conversations through improving our communication and opening up that. And I don't know, there's a lot of teamwork
How long has he been
involved.
in the military now?
So he joined around the same time I did. So I don't know, it's been about 8 years or more,
Oh,
almost
okay.
10. I don't know what the math is, to be honest, but
Wow.
we're going to be in it for the long haul for 20. And he will, so he missed her birth by 4 days.
What? I was
She,
just about to ask if he missed anybody's birth.
see, yeah, he was there for Hawks, but he missed hers by 4 days. And
Dang.
he will be deploying again in about 14 months. So when we got that confirmation, that was about a week of feeling sorry for myself and
Yeah.
pouting and feeling a lot of big emotions. And then the day I accepted it, I painted the kids' room. I was like, okay, we're here for 2 more years. It's going to feel like home. We're going to settle in. So I
Okay,
still go on
so
a roller coaster with it, but I'd say that there's just a lot of grief, honestly.
yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
grief involved.
Because if you're somebody that thinks about the future, and I think it's only like it's in our blood or our DNA as women to like be these planners, because I feel like
Totally.
I'm the same way of like, oh, I could tell you 10 years out what I want my life to look like. Tomorrow I know exactly what I want to look like. May not happen and I'll be okay with it,
Right.
but so yeah, let's talk about births in a minute, but let's go to when he gets his, I guess, orders or confirmation, like, okay, you get your orders, you're being deployed. Do you know where he's being deployed? Do you like how does that work for because I always tell Lance, I'm like, there's no way I could have been married to you when you were active duty. I would have lost my shit. He's
Yeah,
like,
it's
yeah, for
tough.
sure.
We know kind of the general vicinity. The Marines deploy on a Navy ship, on a
Yeah,
very big ship
it's
out of
crazy.
here, out of San Diego. So generally, I know where they are, but I don't always know what they're doing until they get back. So what I
Do you get
really
to
didn't
have
like this last
communication?
deployment,
Yeah, okay, tell me
yeah, like this last deployment, I was pregnant with Henley, Hawk's a toddler. I woke up in the morning, I'm looking at the Daily Mail on Snapchat, and there's these two ships, and it's the story of a jet that had gone off
Oh
of a ship
yeah.
and into the ocean, right? Well, it was Matt's ship was in one of the photos, and I was like, what is this? You know, he's not flying on jets, but he's flying on Ospreys and helicopters on and off ship all the time. So waking up seeing something like that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
But I don't hear about that kind of stuff from him until the back end anyways, which is almost better because he doesn't want to worry me.
Yeah. So do you have any communication when he's deployed, or it's like, I'll talk to you in 4 months?
We were able to email every single day, and he called me
Dang.
almost every single day.
Dang.
Not every single day, but he had a ship phone in his office, and he would email me and usually call at least for like 2 minutes a day just to say, hey, love you.
Yeah.
Bye. But I mean, there were big chunks of time where I wouldn't hear from him when they were out doing stuff, but if they were on ship, we were able to communicate. So we got a lot better at communication.
A lot more direct.
It was great.
Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, let's get into pregnancy. So whenever y'all decided to get pregnant, or was it an oops thing? Like, how did baby Hawk come about? Toddler Hawk come about?
Hawk or Henley are both.
Well, we're gonna get into both of them, but Hawk's the oldest.
Yes, Hawk was birthday sex in 2000 whatever, the year before, on the couch. I remember exactly everything about it. And then I had a feeling, and we weren't really trying, but we weren't not trying. Yep. I mean, I'd been off birth control for a year, and we'd been married a year because we were married in September. So married a year, and then we conceived.
So when you found out you were pregnant, were you like, oh my God, life is changing? Or were you excited? Like, what type of emotions came up?
So it's really funny. It was like the strongest PMS feeling in the world I've ever had. Matt was doing something super annoying, like grilling something outside in our little condo in Virginia, and he caught these wood chips on fire, and it was like about to burn down the house, and I just freaked out. I was like a huge asshole about it. And I was like, the next day I got a pregnancy test, and it was positive, and we were together. For some reason, he had off work. We were together. And so, you know, we were so excited, but I was like, this explains why I was nuts yesterday.
This explains the wood chips.
I was like so annoyed with every single thing, just more than usual. And so it was so funny. So I was like, well, I'm pregnant. Bring on the hormones.
Yeah. So how was that pregnancy? Like, did you experience any anxiety, identity shift, or were you like the blissful pregnant lady that everybody gets annoyed with?
I feel like I was probably pretty annoying because I was in school at Georgetown. I mean, I felt really good. I continued working out like the whole pregnancy. I was glowing. I just felt great. I did have anxiety because I just always struggle with anxiety, but especially towards the end of the pregnancy, I had anxiety. But I remember it being pretty good. I did get sick one time because we went to Spain when I was 16 weeks pregnant, and I got rotavirus, and I had to go to the hospital to get an ER or get an IV. I'm sorry.
Dang.
That was the worst part of the pregnancy.
Okay. How did you prepare for your birth in that pregnancy?
So I worked a little bit with Embo remotely. She was located in California, and I was in Virginia. So we were doing some one-on-one calls. Yeah, we were doing the best we could with that. I attended your BIRTHFIT coaching seminar before I got pregnant, but that experience was great. And I read a few books I think that Embo recommended, and I didn't take any birth courses. I wish I would have. I didn't take hypnobirthing or anything the first time. I can't remember what other thing I did at the hospital, but that was really it.
Okay. And then how would you describe that labor and birth experience?
Vastly different than Hen's.
Yeah.
And looking back, hindsight is 2020.
Yep.
I knew what I knew at the time, but I just didn't know enough to make the right choices to result in the birth that I really did desire. My water broke on its own at 38 and a half weeks, but my labor just wasn't progressing quickly enough, quote unquote. And So in order to get contractions going, we used breast pumps. That helped. We just were getting things moving along. I think I got to 6 centimeters in the hospital. I was having really, really bad back labor. They were just like, we need to get things moving along because if you could get the risk of infection, and if we need you to have the baby within 12 hours. Now, knowing what I know, I would have gone home. I would have stayed at home a lot longer and let my labor just progress naturally without trying to jumpstart everything and progress everything. And just because when they checked me at 6 centimeters and I was 6 centimeters, I was so discouraged. And I was like, give me the epidural. I'm having nothing but back pain. I can't catch a break. Embo wasn't there physically to kind of help us navigate that. Matt was doing the best he could. And so I got the epidural, and then I had to get Pitocin because it stopped everything.
Yeah.
The Pitocin made that really traumatic for Hawk because he dropped so quickly. His face was all bruised when he came out. They took him away from me for 20 minutes, and he had tons of fluid in his lungs. It was just, I had a lot of coached pushing. He came out in like 20 minutes. It was really fast. I think I tore just a little bit. I had postpartum depression after that. And it wasn't the worst birth experience, but looking back, it's hard for me to watch the birth video, not because of me, but because of the way Hawk is when he comes out.
Yeah.
So that was my number one reason for not wanting an epidural with Henley's birth, was solely because I wanted her to enter the world more peacefully on her terms, in a relaxed, calm environment. And I was going to do everything that I could for that to happen. And if I had to get an epidural, that was fine. But that was my driving factor. And my reason was for her, really. And I wanted that natural release of oxytocin as well.
Yeah.
Which I did get the second time.
Yeah. So you mentioned postpartum depression. Did you recognize it right away, or how did you?
No, goodness, no. I wish I did. Everybody did around me, but that's such a tough situation when somebody you love is suffering from someone, and they have to be ready to see it on their own terms. And I really figured it out about 8 months postpartum.
Okay.
So that was tough. And that's when I started therapy, was about 8.5 months postpartum, and a little bit of medication and cannabis and some stuff like that. So I'm actually thankful very, very thankful for the therapy process.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think I might have had postpartum depression either way, right? Like whether it was medicated or not, I don't know. If that release of oxytocin would have made a difference or not. I felt it the second time. I was like on a natural high for 2 weeks. So it was tough. Yeah, it was tough.
If somebody's listening to this and they're like, oh, I might have some form of postpartum anxiety, depression, some realm of the PMADs, what would you say to them, or any advice you could give them?
Yeah, advice to them. Just really, Okay, my number one advice is to share how you're truly feeling with safe people who care for you. Because if you let that stuff fester in your mind, it gives it a lot more power, and it makes you feel a lot more isolated. And I just found that every single person that I cared about, that I shared with what I was experiencing, they not only validated what I was going through, but they helped me realize the weight of what I was experiencing and how not that it's not normal, because it is very normal, but how serious what I was struggling with was. So you might not feel like what you're going through is that a big of a deal, but as you start to share it with safe people that love you, they'll really hold space to support and get help for you.
That's awesome. Do you feel like, because you mentioned you've started getting therapy and around 8 months, do you feel like maybe the hard, resistant outer shell that you had prior, what maybe, I don't want to say prolonged you asking for help or being open to help, or?
I'm unsure if I definitely didn't have a conscious
Mm.
stigma to the process.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an unconscious bias
Yeah, yeah.
there. I'm not sure what. I think it was less about the stigma and more about maybe confirming some untruthful beliefs about myself,
Mm.
if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was, if I do this, it confirms that I am fill in the blank
Yeah,
negative thing I've told
yeah,
myself I'm going to
yeah.
be, or
I'm a
bad
bad mom.
mom,
Yeah,
or more
yeah,
so that
yeah.
I feel.
Mm. So yeah, that also brings me to like you're in San Diego. So wait, you had this baby in Virginia?
Hawk was in Virginia, Henny was in Cali.
Okay, so Virginia, did y'all have any
He's like,
family
you had this
around?
baby?
Did y'all have any family around when Hawk was born?
Let's see. Okay, Matt was in the room.
Yeah.
My stepmom, my sister, and her baby walked into the room on my last push of Hawk coming out.
Whoa.
They made it there with divine timing, like minutes to spare.
Wow.
Then I came home. My mom was there. My stepmom was there. Cleaned my house, made me food. It was a lot of work to get me there because I was very resistant to receiving that help, but it was actually nice. And then my older sister flew in to surprise me the next day, and it
Aw.
was just, I was surrounded by women. They were very respectful to all of my boundaries. They knew how I wanted my postpartum scenario to be,
Yeah.
and they were just respectful and helpful,
That's
and it was
awesome.
amazing.
That's awesome. So when did y'all move to San Diego?
So we moved back to California 2 years ago. Matt's at
Okay.
Camp Pendleton, and we live in San Clemente. Actually, it's a little bit north of San Diego.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so then you have one baby, and then oops, we got pregnant again, or we planned it,
You're like, so
or
you have this baby and then you have that baby. How'd that baby get there? How do you get there? No, she was planned because we
what?
knew he was going to be on this deployment. We
The
knew
one
there was
coming up.
the last one. We knew he was going
Oh,
to be on it. And so we gave ourselves this window. We were like, let's try within these few months, because if we get pregnant, then I'll be pregnant on the deployment and you can come right home for the birth.
oh,
Well,
he missed
the
it.
first time we tried, we got pregnant.
Oh, damn.
So and it was when we were driving across country in our van. We went to we went to the East Coast to get our van, pick it up, drive it back here. Conceived Henny when I was ovulating. And then he missed the birth by 4 days. So we we had like a 3 month kind of window.
Yeah.
And that first month we got pregnant, we were like, well, we won't get it on the
We'll
first try. It'll
use
be
this
like,
practice.
yeah, it'll be month 2 or 3 that it'll actually happen. No, we got pregnant right away. So
Ah,
that's
oh my
this
gosh.
baby.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you plan for this birth?
So yeah,
Yeah.
differently,
What
a
went
lot
into
differently.
this?
I took hypnobirthing this time.
Awesome.
I listened to the audios a lot, as much as I could. So Matt was deployed for the most of
When
the
did he leave?
pregnancy.
Like how many
I
weeks
was
were you?
like 16 weeks pregnant, maybe, or something like that. I don't know.
Okay,
So
okay.
he left, and so when I would put Hawk down at night, I'd run myself a hot bath and lay on my side and just put on an audio, light some candles, put some
Mhm.
oils on or something, and just practiced activating my parasympathetic
Mm.
and just chilling out and going
Yeah.
into calm on my terms. So did that. I did chiropractic
Nice.
pretty much weekly,
Nice.
monthly in the beginning and then weekly towards the end. Spinning babies daily essentials I was doing 3 times a week because Hawk was, remember, all back labored.
Posterior.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get baby in the optimal position.
Yeah.
The biggest thing also was providers, choosing my providers that aligned
Yeah.
with my wishes and that they were very supportive throughout the whole process. I got a doula in person this time, and that was really the major things I did differently.
So
I
how'd you,
visualized this time. I just didn't do any mental prep last time, which
right.
is why when the pain came, I didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
really know how to, like, not only I didn't know how to physically get in different positions to take the pain away, I didn't know how to mentally navigate or go inward and just calmly move through all the stages of labor with my
Mm-hmm.
baby in my body. I was
With
like the
just you.
resistant one in the party. I was like
Yeah,
resisting it. So this time it
yeah.
was more like the Trinidad, literally like
Mm.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit kind of sacred sanctity where I'm like, okay, God and this baby and my body are working together and they've got it. And I just felt much more like I just had to get my mind out of the way and let them do the work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm like, can I get an amen? Um,
Amen.
yeah. So how'd you settle? You did a home birth, right?
I did not. So I labored at
I'm like,
home.
that looked like it was
Yeah,
beautiful.
I labored at home. It was beautiful. I got to the hospitals. Well, so my mucus plug came out at 5:30 p.m. I stood up and it just came out. She was 38 and a half weeks. So was Hawk. So I was like, okay, labor's coming. Told my doula, water's coming out. Like I can feel it kind of, I don't really feel contractions, but I felt the fluids coming out.
Mm.
Contractions started coming. Then they started getting more painful. I went into my bathtub, laid on my side, labored in
Mm.
my tub. Doula came here. She packed my hospital bag, drove me to the hospital, wheeled me in. I was 8 centimeters when I got in.
It's
And they
awesome.
wanted me on the bed to monitor baby, draw my blood, do all the tests. And I was like, I really just have to take the biggest shit. I can't. I gotta go to the toilet. Let me sit on the toilet. So she let me sit on the toilet and I never got off the toilet.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
They
like the
came
safe
into the
zone.
bathroom. Yep, they came into the bathroom. Midwife was down there. Like the nurse was down there with a flashlight. They had that cool LED blue light in there.
Yeah.
Matt's on speakerphone. My doula's there. My mom's there. It was magical. I
Aw.
just stood up and breathed her out, and she just entered the
Came
world,
right out.
and it was amazing. It was
Aw.
intense, but I would do it a million times over.
Yeah. That's the word right there, intense. That's what,
Yeah.
I whenever I do doula follow-ups or, ask my clients on the other side, uh, what's one word to describe birth? They're like, intense. And I would do it again. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
ah.
Yeah. I mean, Imbo, even though I wasn't working directly with her for Henley's birth, she helped
Yeah.
me so much. I was always texting her and she's like, what is your biggest fear? And I was like, it's the pain of birth. Because last time I couldn't handle the pain of birth. And she's like, there's literally nothing to fear about the pain of birth.
Mm.
It goes away. And
Mhm.
thousands of women before you have experienced it. She just helped me reframe that fear because I
Mhm.
didn't go in without that fear. I still had that fear, but I just
Absolutely.
reframed it and I
Yeah.
just met it with a different mindset this time.
Right.
Like the pain
So
has a purpose. The pain has
I
a
was
purpose. The
yeah.
baby's coming. The baby's
Yeah.
coming. The baby's getting closer.
For
Every
sure, for sure.
contraction, the baby's getting closer. And it was just breathing through each contraction. Really, you can see on my birth video, which I'm going to show the world tomorrow. But no, I'm gonna show some people the birth video tomorrow. My last like 2 to 3 contractions, there's this rest period, and I remember it because it was so
Mm.
beautiful. I'm standing up and I'm just resting, and I'm reminding myself just rest because I know she's about to come. I'm reminding myself you're about to meet her,
Yeah.
and I'm like just open up like a flower, just like receive and open up, and I just softened and relaxed and welcomed, and it was like 2 more contractions and
Yeah.
she was out. She was out.
Oh.
It was so I was not in that room. I've
Yeah,
never been so in my body.
it's awesome. So,
Yeah, it was
what do you
amazing.
think? Because, I'm over here thinking, yeah, I would love your reflections around this. I'm like over here, like, Taylor's a superhero. Um, and like when I met you, this badass cheerleader, Marine, CrossFitter that I would have, guessed could endure any sort of pain, any sort of crazy shit they train you for in the military,
Right?
and then you're like, wait, the pain of birth freaks me out. What do you think that was? Was it the unknown of it or,
Well, I was going to say, I think it's twofold. And I think you're hitting on a good point because it is about the pain of birth, but it wasn't my body that broke, it was my mind. So it was my mindset around the pain around birth. And that was the thing that broke. It was my mind. I don't know. I think it's women. I mean, when I have worked so hard, I can remember even in cheerleading and gymnastics and CrossFit, just doubting, having to mentally actively combat the critic in my head. Like I was mentally up against that person in my head and I just doubted myself. I didn't trust myself. I'd get mental blocks on skills, like doing fulls and twisting. I'd start blocking out. So I think it's more about self-trust and trusting, that women know what's best for their body. Because when I'm in a room of providers and all this stuff's going on and it's stressful and it's overwhelming, it's fearful. And it's like, do I trust myself to really just move through this crazy thing? I think it was about mindset and self-trust. And it was, I don't know. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear driving those choices. And even though the people around me kind of in that first situation, my providers just really disappointed me on game day. When I came in, it wasn't about let's trust your body and just see what it can do. It was immediately, let's start the Pitocin, let's start this. And my husband was like, what? No, let's let our body do what it can do. And so he was really the advocate for us trying some natural ways to get things going, not them. So I think being kind of like micro pushed from the providers and people who say that they're there to advise you and guide you and align with your desire. It's like, I don't know. I felt like women have had much more traumatic experiences than I have had in birthing situations, but I felt like a customer or a number being pushed through when I look at it in hindsight. Right? Whereas the second time around, I didn't feel that way at all. I mean, they were like, yeah,
more in control.
Yeah, when I said I have to go to the bathroom and I can't get on the bed, they were like, that's cool, we'll come to you. If a nurse would have tried to get into a power struggle with me giving birth on you have to be on the bed, like I can see that happening maybe in a situation, and that's just not fair to the woman. So I was very much, I had autonomy that second time around, and like I said, fear, but equipped that second time around to meet the pain with a new perspective.
Prepared, not scared. Random question. When you hired your doula, did you say there might be a possibility that Matt might not be here?
Yeah, she knew from the beginning. She was actually a free doula to me because she worked with a nonprofit organization called Operation Doula that provides free doula support to military families. And from the get-go, she was like, I'll be at your house. I'll drive you there. I'll take care of whatever you need. I got you. Yeah. So she
You'll
did.
have to send me that because that would be an awesome organization for our BIRTHFIT nonprofit to donate to.
Yes.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and she's great. I love my doula. I love both my doulas.
So one of the videos I watched, I guess it was you comparing both births, Hawks and Henley's. And one of the things you said is like external validation, and then basically like you having the source of power all along. Do you look at Henley's birth as healing or
Totally. Can you hear me okay? My headphones died.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, her birth was extremely healing. I never really liked the word empowering for some reason. I think that we get that wrapped up with feminism, and I like the word feminism. It's just that also when you do extremes of anything, extremes of anything are crazy, right? So I don't know. I think it was very empowering because it was the most radical form of self-trust and connection to divine. and baby, who's an angel.
Yeah.
It just was insanely powerful. I have never felt better. The first 2 weeks after birth I kept kind of waiting for my mood to shift or
Oh,
my, the shoe to drop. Like I was waiting for postpartum depression to come around the corner, and it just never
yeah.
did. It was just
Ah,
a huge, like I was riding this high,
yeah.
this natural joy and internal confidence and alignment, just with trusting my body and what it was literally made to do, and embracing my feminine energy. Just, I don't think that birth is a performance by any means, but it is definitely a sacred experience, which I I value greatly. And yes, it was so empowering.
I love that. Would you say birth is a portal to God?
Yes, and I have a quick story.
Okay.
So, purple flowers are kind of the way that God talks to me. When Hawk was born and I had postpartum depression, I was listening to the book Untamed by Glennon Doyle, driving from Virginia to Tennessee, and it was lined with all these purple flowers in the trees. It was gorgeous. And then there was a quote in the book that says something like, if, I think God gets pissed off when we're walking in a field and we see purple flower and we don't notice or we don't pay attention, right? And I was like, whoa, this is very weird. And so that quote and just purple flowers had always been kind of God's way of speaking to me through that season of depression. Then I'm pregnant with Henley. Matt's away, doesn't make it back for the birth, which to me feels like a bad thing in the time. But, later down the line, you realize like these things were our story and they made us stronger, whatnot.
Yeah.
So I wanted Henley to be born in March because that was her due date. Turns out she came in February. So my friend Taylor brought over dinner in February when she was born and brought me some purple flowers. And we're joking about the flower of the month. I didn't know what the flower was. So I look it up for February, and it is the purple flower. It's a violet for February.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I look that up, and the violet, there's a story that connects it back to Jesus, actually, that when Gabriel, the angel, came to Mary to tell her that she was going to give birth to Jesus, the violets were in bloom. And so I'm reading this with tears just streaming down my eyes because I'm like, okay, God, I hear you and I see you. And yes, these are my little angels. And yes, it is a portal. And yes, God is speaking to us in all kinds of ways through all kinds of experiences and signs. And birth definitely deepened that intimacy for me with God, for sure.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good stuff. That's powerful stuff. That's thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I've taken at least an hour of your time, and that baby's almost asleep, I think.
No kidding.
So what's next for you? I know you said you're sort of working selective clients, but let's say what kind of clients do you work with? If anybody wants to work with you, how can they find you?
Yeah. So this season for me, I'm 6 months postpartum. I thought I'd be ready to work a lot more, but with 2 kids, it's just truly there's not enough energy to go around. So my goal for this next 6 months is to create space for me to continue healing, to continue to be present and connect with my family. So if people want to work with me, though, I'm putting some clients on a wait list. They can email me, taylor.galadyk@gmail.com, or just through my Instagram. The link is listed there at Taylor Galadyk. And I work with women primarily, all types, but it seems to be moms or high-performing women who are military, medical, really competitive environments. I'm helping those women navigate those environments while being true to themselves and having a good quality of life and kicking ass. So that's what I help women do. So women really that just need help, a little bit of help going through those struggles and want a new perspective or my guidance.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's been such an honor first talking to you and connecting with you, because I don't know the last time that I saw you, and I would love to see you in person one day.
Yes, hopefully.
But also, like I was sharing before you got on here, like just being an observer of your journey and your metamorphosis into this like beautiful mother that
Yeah.
you know, has strength and grace and you know, thrives in the chaos. So I think that's very fitting. Um, what's the
Very
best book?
fitting.
What's the best book you've read lately?
Gosh, to be honest,
I feel
postpartum don't have much bandwidth to read any books. I'll pick one up and read a chapter and then put it down. I'm like, I
done.
can't do this right now. But what I was reading last, oh my goodness. It's I feel like such an idiot that I can't remember it. So
Mom
I can't
brain.
remember it. It's a book about, I'll send you a picture of it. I feel really stupid. Before that, it was The Help, which is
Ooh,
like a super old book and movie. But
yeah,
I'm really not into right now, like self-help books.
yeah, and more
I'm
entertainment.
more entertainment, imaginative, like take my mind away to a place and
Yeah,
just let me relax kind of books is what I'm into right
it's
now.
awesome. It's probably very refreshing for women to hear that because
Yes.
you know there's such a push. Like read the next self help book.
Right.
Constantly work on yourself. Blah blah blah.
A lot. A lot.
Yeah.
Oh, it was called All the Light We Cannot See.
Ooh.
And I'm only
Okay.
halfway through it, but it's a really beautiful book.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
Anything
self-help, not self-help.
not anything we did not cover or any thoughts, reflections, heart statements that maybe nope, we covered everything.
No, I loved your questions. I didn't really know which direction we were going to go, what we were going to talk about, birth stories or whatnot. But no, I love seeing the work that you're doing with BirthFit.
Aw.
I think the only thing I failed to mention is that I obviously follow the BirthFit program now. Postpartum, that's a huge thing. I do it in my garage once a week, and then I take your
Garage
workout.
gym.
Yeah, I take your workout and I kind of modify it a little bit on Fridays. And I teach like a mommy and me workout at the basketball court
Cool.
here with dumbbells and stuff like that. So it's been really nice to
Yeah.
not have to think about what the heck I'm going to do for a workout.
Yeah.
Seriously, just to pull up the app, have the workout, plug it in, and do something better than nothing has been really helpful.
Yeah.
So that's the only
And
thing
you're
I did
in
not mention.
that's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Community connection in San Clemente.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fridays, if anybody's listening,
Yeah.
mom time.
Mommy and me, 10 a.m. DM
Okay.
me or something, and I'll give you the location. You can come work out with us. Bring your baby.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Taylor, for
Of
sharing your
course.
stories, your journeys, and just yeah, letting us into your heart a little bit. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Love you.
Absolutely. Love you, Taylor, and bye, Henley.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. All right, y'all. That was an awesome episode. Gosh, Taylor's truly a special person. And if you are not following her on social media, I'll pull her up so I make sure I spell her last name correctly because I'm not the world's best speller. But if you're not following her on social media, go do it. Taylor, Taylor, Galadyk, Galadyk. Like I said, go find her on Fridays in San Clemente. Get on her wait list if you are a high performing woman and need some TLC, some life coaching, just an awesome woman in your corner. But I love when women are able to reflect and share their journeys and look at their different birth experiences and maybe the lessons and things they gained from each. And I think this is such a valuable episode. Please share this with anybody that you know, and be sure to leave us a review over on iTunes. If we read your review, then you will get a free t-shirt. All you got to do is email us at info@birthfit.com. So here is our customer review for this time. If your code name, if your handle is KJ Senek, KJSENAK, email us. We will give you a free t-shirt. Your testimonial, your customer review says, since joining BirthFit in 2017 while pregnant with my first child, I have been amazed with the evolution of BirthFit. Lindsay's passion is evident and it has only grown. She is a steadfast force in the birth and beyond community. I appreciate that LKM values conversation and gives space to disagree. This is so important and a lost value in our culture. Thank you for your hard work from the podcast to the blogs to training and beyond. Your labor is not in vain. Keep it up. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Those kind words mean a lot. So, till next time, y'all, all my love and enjoy the weekend.